Westside Gunn chose to go off on WWE. I grew up watching this wrestling. I'm a big wrestling fan. But wrestling, as they used to say. But so Westside Gunn just unleashed on the WWE, claiming that they kicked him out of a Raw episode despite him spending thousands on tickets, and then threatened to sue him for his music as it relates to his wrestling references. Now, as artists or just regular consumers, we've all been there where we just are diehard fans and we spend our money on things that we like or that we enjoy. We can all relate to that. But the deeper issue here to me is, why do creatives continue to pour into these corporate billion-dollar corporate agencies or businesses or whatever for the branding that they do, and they show nothing or give nothing back or pour back into the people that are pouring into them? Westside Gunn definitely falls into that category. Check the album covers. So Gunn wasn't just a fan. He was doing this for free marketing for the WWE for years, incorporating classic imagery and referencing that into his music and the art. This dude has galleries with Virgil and, Ted DiBiase, all this type of stuff. So he actually made it cool.
Mm-hmm. He had a big poster on the side of the building with Virgil and Ted DiBiase.
Come on. The last two projects, well, we know more than that, but the last two projects have been Virgil and I think Ted DiBiase on both of those, if I'm not mistaken.
The one that just came out a few weeks ago, I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I would say that to say, because this is a little tricky. The first question I will pose is, how does this make the WWE look, in your opinion?
I don't think it makes them look any kind of way different to its actual fans.
Okay, so here's my question.
I thought you asked a question.
With how it looks, but that was a question. But I want to pivot off this. You don't think that the WWE has benefited off Westside Gunn using their imagery? Look, at any point?
I'm going to give you some very real talk here. One of the guys that works with me is a huge WWE fan. Mm-hmm. And, we talk about music. He likes a whole different kind of music than I do. But sometimes there's a little bit of a Venn diagram that goes over. And I asked him, what do you think about Westside Gunn? He's like, I have no idea who that is. Mm-hmm. This is somebody that watches all the pay-per-views. Like, for the promotion that Westside Gunn does with the WWE. And, when I've, especially now they have their partnership with ESPN. Yeah. So I probably paid more attention, because we'll have it on in the background at work. I'd never see anything with, they don't feature really Westside Gunn that much. And you got to understand, like, now WWE, and I think along with, certain other entities, they're so big internationally. Like, they're getting ready to have WrestleMania in Dubai, which is very complicated.
That's tough.
Or the UAE, whatever. But it's just, but that's a very controversial thing.
Yeah, that's tough
right now.
That's tough.
And
how they gonna wrestle?
I mean, the women are going to have to cover up if they're included at all.
That's tough.
But this is such a big thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure Westside Gunn and us as hip hop fans were like, oh, that's messed up. He's taking them to the next level. And it's like, no, he's not. It's nice that he's there, but they'll be just fine without Westside Gunn. And if you're not being properly respected by the entity that you feel like you have some sort of connection with, then look, it happens every day. You got to move on and create your art outside of worrying about these people who really don't see value in you. And they're going to move in the way you can't tell these folks what to do with their money or their airtime. So you can only control what it is that he tells, oh, he bought tickets. Everybody bought tickets. That's what it is. Like, if they don't see the partnership as something that can take them to the next level, then even if you don't feel it's amicable, look, when you don't burn down bridges, because you gotta or whatever, because you never know it'll be a situation where they can come back. Just like they always bring back the old wrestlers who said they would never come back and work for the company. But I don't know if this is this isn't something that's going to hurt the WWE at all.
It's not. I think you make some valid points with that, but where I'm going with this is he's literally used this platform, and even when they have pay-per-view stuff, I see them flash him in the audience from time to time.
That's what I was talking about.
He may not identify with, let's say, a majority of WWE fans, but he's brought light or shed light and made people appreciate or tune in based off of what he's doing now. Like, I don't I started watching wrestling a long time ago. I'll catch a match here and there, you know, kind of based off of it's in my ear. I know about it now because Cass is talking about it, kind of based off his music. And seeing that imagery takes me back to being a kid watching wrestling. So it makes me tune in. So I feel the effect that way versus just like a fan that's just down with wrestling, period.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like too, if this was something that they were going to do, they should have did it a long time ago. Versus letting him create this catalog, using these wrestlers' images, using sound bites from these wrestlers in his music. He's doing free promotion for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had the event in Buffalo.
Come on.
He plastered the whole side of a building with Ted DiBiase and Virgil on the side and had the name of his album very small on the side, like on the other side of the building. So like all you see is that big picture, knowing that that's associated with WWE. He's giving y'all free promotion. You could at least let him stay at the event. Like, what is him being at the event? How is that hurting you?
What happened?
Well, they just kicked him out. Like the event started at like 8. They kicked him out at like 8:05. He didn't do nothing. They just kicked him out. So that's what's weird about the whole thing to me. It's like he's giving y'all free promotion and y'all felt the need to just, are we going to just disassociate with this cat and kick him out, and now we're going to sue him?
Yeah, no,
I think that's a little extra.
It's
No, that's wrong.
It's
That's
wicked.
definitely wrong.
Yeah, because like there's
Corey.
validity to what you're saying in terms of not kicking it where you aren't being celebrated.
Yeah.
But in the same vein, like you said, it's really the timeliness of everything because I've been putting in all this work. And again, you pointed out the major success that they found. And I'm not saying that that's mainly him, but I'm saying that there's pieces of that he's contributed to that. Because when we look at hip hop and hip hop being synonymous to culture and black culture and what trends that we decide to follow after, he kept a buzz there that I feel like otherwise wouldn't have been there. Because I mean, like even for the youth, the people that listen to his music, people that support him, like they may not be the most avid wrestling fans, but in the same vein, because of his, that continuity to just support them, they have been indirectly involved in supporting them.
And they've benefited from that.
Exactly. And so like the timeliness of it, where you say like they're having this big ramp of success and to cut ties with him now after all that he's done. Yeah, it seems like just another run of the mill moment where, they sponge us out for, supporting them. And then when the time comes for them to, reshape their image or get their image where they want it to be, they cut ties.
Yeah.
Say what you want, man, but Westside Gunn and Griselda has been a movement for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And those art pieces that he has with 3 eyes and all the type of stuff that he has that he started in Buffalo, and then, the art galleries and things of that nature, that stuff is moving. And like I said, to your point, Corey, it's not about the diehard. It's about those people that are on the fringe that may not know the history or the lineage. They're coming over because of him and what he's doing. There's a section of people that come over.
Yeah, even if it's a passive fan, it's a fan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the WWE is kicking out somebody that, to Terry's point, had the whole side of a building plastered up with promotion for his project, which he really wasn't pushing like that, to the side.
I ain't gonna say he wasn't pushing.
He's pushing it, but what I'm saying is how you talked about where the placing of everything, right? Yeah. What I'm saying is, y'all still are eating off this. So this is the dude that you kick out 10 minutes after he's been in? I don't agree with that.
Yeah. I'm just very curious. I mean, this is a very like TLDR conversation because we don't really know what happened for him to get kicked out. Mm-hmm. Obviously he has been putting this product out and using this intellectual property that he does not own for a very long time. Granted, I understand how that works, obviously, as somebody who makes records and samples. Like, I get that.
For sure.
But let's not remove that factor of this as well. Like, he is using an intellectual property, most likely that he's not being approved to use. Yes, I think there's a capitalism approach to some degree to where we know what big businesses do. Mm-hmm. We know what happens in these situations. And in these situations, what happens is they will use you until they don't need to use you anymore, or you start to impede on their capital until you start to impede on that profit. And maybe it was overstepping a little bit, and maybe there wasn't Again, I don't know. I'm very
Right.
I'm
There's
very
an asterisk.
curious.
There's definitely an asterisk right there for that because
I'm very
we don't
curious what that is because it did seem like he had a good relationship with this company.
My thing
That
is,
he was a part of
we kind of all alluded to it in someone in terms of the timing, because he's been doing this. Man, I don't know what
since the beginning.
Is damn near since they popped out.
I mean, his own record label imprint is called The Fourth Rope, which
He's got a
is
fourth rope, yeah.
wrestling related. You know what I'm saying?
But again, when we're talking about intellectual property and the owner class of everything, the people that are in management positions of these companies are not necessarily representative of the people who are owning of everything. When
That's
we think
fair.
of record labels, it's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
It's not, people come and go. And then if those people aren't in the place to kind of hold that relationship, sometimes there's not that glue anymore. So, I'm very curious as to like what that is.
I guess my thing, Lone, would be, why does it bother you now?
That's exactly what I said, though.
Right.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
what he
I
said.
feel you. But that's my question. Why does it bother you now?
I agree with that, but for you to kick him out when it was already said nothing pretty much happened.
Right.
It was just more so he showed up.
Yeah.
He's
But
always
this
in
is
the
only
front
from
row.
his side, right? Right now, have you seen anything
from
else?
what I don't think I've heard anything.
He just had a long Instagram post
Right.
or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he's always in the front row whenever he goes to these events. But again, this is nothing new when it comes to hip hop promoting brands that have nothing to do with us personally, and it's just kind of been absorbed into the culture, and then them not appreciating the fact that we actually have helped you gain, help you with financial gain. Essentially, like we've seen it with Timberlands. Timberland is a staple in the culture. It had been said one time that the owner didn't want or didn't see urban people wearing Timberland.
Talk to him.
We already know how
Cristal, that whole thing.
Yeah, Cristal, and that led to Jay-Z creating his home brand, the Armadale, or he bought
Ace
a
of
brand.
Spade.
Yeah.
Which is more expensive than Cristal.
Yeah, it is. And then we all know what Pimp C had to say about Tommy Hilfiger.
Come on.
Which happened. It actually wasn't true.
Yeah.
That one wasn't true, but that's what was going on.
Yeah.
At the time, they were saying Tommy Hilfiger don't like black people.
All right.
But we were promoting this stuff when Snoop got on. What was it, Arsenio Hall with that Tommy Hilfiger
That
shirt?
was Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live. Everybody was down with Tommy then. That kind of people were on it, but when they seen that cultural, that hip hop cultural influence made people buy a whole lot of Tommy Hilfiger.
Well, you know,
true.
I think, and this is where my conspiracy brain comes in. I talked a little bit about the fact that now, you know, ESPN carries all of what used to be the pay-per-views. You know, so you think about it. What's the parent company to ESPN?
Disney.
Exactly. You never know. There might be new eyes on partnerships. And, you know, it was like, okay, Griselda, what's that name? Oh, Griselda Blanco, a drug dealer. Okay, and then you start looking at the discography. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, wait a minute. What is this about the
Hermes for Hitler or whatever?
I was going to say the Fuhrer to try to look out for the algorithm.
No, it makes sense. That makes sense.
And so you don't know when new partnerships come into play. And like, if they kicked him out for no reason, that's messed up. You know what I'm saying? But like, we're only hearing one side of the story.
Yeah.
But if they decide to end the partnership, maybe depending on how people in power feel about certain content, and it's like, how can we still move without this? Because there's a new person in the boardroom who doesn't care, since, you know, we can bleep it out, whatever, who doesn't care for someone even, I don't even know, I can't even say what the context would be, referring to Hitler and naming that as one of their, albums. So you don't know what new eyes are on these partnerships who don't appreciate certain things.
Yeah, just the way you go about it when you cut those ties.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
Tell me before I get there. I could have stayed at home.
Come on,
you know?
man. Before I dropped $3,000-$4,000 on the ticket.
Yeah.
But I think this brings up a bigger conversation though about hip hop. Smaller. We just talked about little rooms. Talked about people coming up, creating their things out of nothing, and then attaching materialism to the thing that you're doing in a way, right? So if you can represent a brand and you can push materialism, some sort of entity that you have that's nothing a part of anything that you do except there's something that you consume, and then you push it down the line and you prop it up, just like Terry was saying. You prop this thing up instead of something that you actually have some sort of like physical connection to,
Mhm.
right? So that, to me, I know I'm kind of talking abstract, but why would we work with, as the new old heads, why would we work with why would we prop up? This is why we always cover out brands when we're on the show. Why would we prop up a brand on the show that does nothing for us, that we have no direct contact with the ownership, as opposed to somebody who we can go and have a conversation with?
Mm-hmm.
Why, and I think in general, hip hop culture has always kind of been that, especially when it became super commercialized in the late 90s. It's just brands everywhere. It's just attached to a brand, but it's like to try to make more money and to do all this stuff. But it's like, but then you realize it's like, we all know, like the class, again, I'm going to say it again, the ownership class of everything, the billionaire class, the everything up there, like they don't care. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
They're just worried about profit. And so to me, it comes down to that type of conversation, as opposed to, sure, Westside Gunn was slighted, but how do we prevent this from happening in the future?
Exactly.
I say, well, let's get
your
that
own brands.
Yeah,
Sure.
that, and if we don't have, look, if there's just kind of agreements in place, there needs to be paperwork on everything. I'm not sure. Maybe there was paperwork between him and the WWE, but I think it was more beneficial for the WWE. Like, all right, you're putting these pictures out. Maybe someone will ask about Virgil and Ted DiBiase, but it's just like, look, you got to make it make sense, because if you're still paying for your tickets to go, that says a lot there.
Yeah, and two, even if this were something to where he said this was a defamation of character type of situation between myself and WWE, they're able to draw that out. They got a whole lot more money than he does when it comes to that. So I mean, this is just a lesson in just branding in general, and not making your whole image about a brand that isn't yours. Because like when you think of Westside Gunn, you think about wrestling, like I do personally, because it's just been embedded in his brand. Like even his own label now is the Fourth Rope. So like you think about wrestling, you think about him, and now if it comes down to him having to remove sound bites from albums, he's gonna be left with nothing. He already had to go back and change this last album cover, and I think it's retroactive, so he has to change all of these album covers.
Yeah, that's the bigger
into
piece.
something else.
That's the bigger piece. It's like, I mean, I know we're sitting here, and don't get me wrong, I'm on Westside Gunn's side because I want him to win, and I'm never on the side of the billionaire class and all that. But he's gained as much from this as I think the WWE's, just because of the continuity of everything that he's doing and attaching his name to something that people can recognize, even if maybe the business entity or the WWE is making more from it.
Yeah.
I still think that there is something there where we have a tendency to do that. And
he has a cult following based off of that image, and he has to re-image that. Like, I don't know if y'all have seen the new album cover.
I saw it.
Yeah.
It just looks like a generic wrestler on it. It's like, it doesn't give that same Westside Gunn appeal to me. It's like, you see it, it's like,
but that's
this is like a bootleg version of it.
But that's a perfect example of what I'm saying, though.
Yeah,
you're right. Like, it doesn't have the same type of appeal because he's not able to use that same intellectual property. So like, it's kind of like sampling, like Mike knows. Like when we started out sampling back in the days, it's like, I remember asking a pretty big independent artist at the time, I was like, man, what do you do about sampling? He's like, man, if you're getting sued, you're doing something right.
Doing something right.
And Westside Gunn's getting his stuff taken down. He must be doing something right. So, but the thing is like, it depends on how retroactive, it depends on how much this is infused into everything you're doing. Like the WWE's in like everything that he does.
Exactly.
It's not like just using one record.
Yeah, it's synonymous with his brand. It's everything.
It's like, it's,
Corey, what do you think about this as an artist that's, up and coming, and you start to make connections, you are moving? Is this something that gives you a sense of, okay, I'll write this down, I'll just make sure I remember this moving forward? Or, how do you see it from an artist standpoint?
Yeah, man. I mean, just that the importance of ownership is just like the biggest thing that I'm getting from it. Like, yeah, man, like you said, like his entire brand is synonymous with wrestling, and for there not to be a real amicable, visibly relationship between him and the WWE, it honestly sucks. And like, again, it just shows that same repetitive vacuum of them sponging out artists, especially when it comes to hip hop. until they get in this position that they're comfortable with to cut ties whenever they feel as if so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like that's the part that I really dislike the most about it in terms of timeliness and how you conduct the business when it comes to going away. Like, again, we put an asterisk by it because we haven't heard the other side of why. But yeah, as far as what we know, that stinks. But like, again, ownership is the biggest thing heading into where you want to go.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about being a part of something else, or even when it comes to sampling, like it's difficult to even say like that. It's difficult to even say, like, as an artist myself, who I'm big on samples. I love rapping with samples.
Sure.
I pay a lot of homage to the culture. Like, I feel like those two things go hand in hand. So I hate to see that for him to do all the work that he's done and to have put so much money in their pockets.
Yeah, man.
That part.
It's
That
crazy.
Yeah,
That
man.
part.
Like that's like a stab in the back. And like you said, he has to go back and do all the work
Gotta
again.
redo it.
Yeah, man. And yeah, you can't recover the same way like that.
Nah, and this ain't
That's
the
real.
first time either that
That's
this has
real.
happened in hip hop. Even when it comes down to personal style, like Dapper Dan used monograms of Louis Vuitton, Gucci, all of that to create these dope outfits back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's coming to buy that stuff. Mike Tyson's buying it. Rappers are buying it. Rakim, Eric B. and Rakim got him on the cover of what album is that?
The second one.
Paid in Full. Paid in Full. They got
him on the second album too.
Yeah. So Louis and Gucci had seen him doing those outfits. They didn't send him like a cease and desist or anything, but they started jacking his designs. So he was pretty much designing stuff for them. And then they finally came around within the past, 10 years.
Yeah.
He was doing this shit back in the 80s.
Come on.
They finally decided to go ahead and cut him a deal with these brands to bring him on. They could have brought him on way back then.
Right.
But now the culture is so, people get high off the culture. And now it's okay to get high off the culture. So they brought him in, made him like a creative director or whatever. Now he's working with these same brands that he was designing for free back in the day. So like this isn't nothing new.
Nope.
It's like it just recycles and it comes in a different form.
It shows you the power of hip hop and hip hop's influence on pop culture. It's undeniable.
Yeah.
And to Terry's point, there are other situations that I'm sure if we did research and dug a little deeper, we could find.
You don't think it's funny though, like the timing of it? Now that I think about it, it's like
Remember when I said that earlier?
With hip hop being on the decline or quote unquote decline and not being number one. Yeah.
And you know what?
then
He actually hit on something there, because that is a conversation that has been floating around about the, is it dead? Or
the whole Billboard
Kendrick
situation.
kicked it off with the out of the top 40, I believe. And, that's the first time in X amount of years. So, is it trending a certain direction? That's a fair point.
It's
on the outside looking in.
That's a fair point.
On the outside looking in, they feel that way because it's not to them. It's not as tangible. They don't know how to go out and feel the culture the same way that people that are involved in the culture know how to do it. They have to be taught and told what to listen to. So if I'm telling you that this is how it's going, this is how it's trending, you're listening to people in corporate America who focus on capitalism, then you're going to think that, and all of a sudden to you it doesn't seem as profitable.
True.
Whereas to me, I'm actually more comfortable feeling like that people think that hip hop is gone or is going down. It actually makes me feel good. I know that might sound
it's ours
backwards.
again. Yeah.
It sounds backwards, but to me, it actually puts a smile on my face.
What you think
it's
about that,
ours
bro?
again. It's ours again.
Mm.
The issue is that independence is so strong right now. Everybody's doing their own thing. Like the visibility, like you said, anybody can go out there and just start dropping. And once you catch a buzz, I mean, it's do it yourselves out here now.
Let me ask you this, because I know you're in that space, especially as an artist. Would you say that there are pros and cons to everybody being able to do what you just said?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm just checking.
Because
I don't get a
it
chance
allows
to talk
people
to
to
artists that
infringe
much.
upon the culture
There you
and,
go. There
play
you go.
with it and do what they want with it and make themselves feel like they're a part of it when they're not. And yeah man, that sucks.
No, I feel you. I just want to check. I want to check.
Nah, for sure, man.
You're on the pro side, so don't worry about that.
I appreciate it.
I just wanted to ask. Now that's real though. That's real, because everybody rap. So,
Well, I'm just saying, like, I think just for this is a lesson for artists going forward. Like, you can be a fan of something,
yeah.
But if I think sampling thing is a little different. You know what I'm saying? Because that's always been a part of hip hop. Sometimes, and right now, for a lot of people, it is the Wild Wild West. I'll hear something, I know it's a sample, but I know it's not listed.
No.
Because I've the way it was flipped or whatever. But
it's spooky out here.
There are certain albums like I think we're talking about the same producer. There was one particular sample. He's like, okay, I know they're gonna know that.
Yeah.
But that's also the single. But everything else, it's like, all right, we'll see. But just be more mindful of your personal brand, as opposed to linking yourself with someone who might be using you as an opportunity.
Sure.
Well
Yeah,
said.
the Twins had to change their whole song because of Disney.
Oh, and look, once again, we bring it right back to Disney because the people in those rooms, they're like,
Disney
no,
don't play.
You will not
At all.
You will not whistle while you twerk. You ought to keep that moving.
Yeah.
And they didn't put out another record for another 2 years. She's dealing with that.
Shout out to Jay Moore knowing their timeline. Appreciate that.